Lugia is making its way into raid battles for Pokemon Go, but does that mean that you should raid this Pokemon a lot? Does it mean you should power up this Pokemon? And if you choose to power it up, should you use it for Master League as a meta attacker or everything else? We're gonna get into that in this video. So, welcome to the Trader Club. Here we go! Lugia in Pokemon Go is going to be a Psychic and a Flying type Pokemon. This Pokemon is a more tanky Pokemon than an attack-friendly Pokemon. However, there has been a Shadow out and there has been an Apex Shadow out as well. So we're going to compare everything in this video. Not only that, we'll also compare towards the end GBL, meta attackers, and everything to make sure you know what is your money going towards on this Pokemon. This Pokemon is going to max out at 4,186 with an attack value of 193, with a defense of 310 and a stamina of 235. So the defense is the biggest stat for this Pokemon, and I'm excited to see with this ER value because it does take into account a little bit more of these defense and stamina type Pokemon to get a better range than does the DPS times TDO, which is very exciting here. As far as this Pokemon, it is going to get 2 charge moves, which will be Extra Sensory, and it will also be Dragon Tail. Dragon Tail is going to be very well received when we are talking about it as a PvP Pokemon. And then as far as the charge moves, it will get Future Sight, it will get Sky Attack, it will get Hydro Pump, and then the legacy move on this Pokemon will be Aeroblast. And on the Apex, which is the only one you can get it on, you cannot Elite TM this Apex Pokemon's move, which will be Aeroblast Plus, and if it is purified, Aeroblast Plus Plus. So those are things that you are going to have to consider, that yes, you can TM Aeroblast onto this Pokemon, but you cannot get the stronger versions of this move. And then that's going to lead us to the weaknesses and the strengths of this Pokemon. So as far as the weaknesses go, it's going to be weak to 5 total things, 3 things for the Flying type, and 2 things from the Psychic type. From the Flying type, it will be weak to Rock, Ice, and Electric, and then from the Psychic type, it is going to be weak to Ghost as well as Dark. And as far as the resistances go, it's going to double resist Fighting and double resist Ground, and then single resist Grass and Psychic. So it doesn't have a huge list of resistances, but it does have some here. So obviously the shiny is out, and if you guys do want more raid battles, you can jump into the pinned comments or the description and get into the Discord for totally free raid battles, or if you want more exclusive access, check out the Patreon where you can get into Premier Discord Raiders, which is going to be exclusive, small, and intimate groups to help you get more raids. And not only that, you will be able to also check out the Premier 2x Discord Raiders if you want more groups, or the Elite group and get in with me on my friends list and get more raids. So with this said, now let's move into the ER value of this Lugia and see what is going to be the best served Pokemon here. And just so we're on the same page, the ER value is damage per second, DPS, times total damage output, and then average to get an ER value to see what is going to be the best moveset of this Pokemon, how it's going to sit as far as attacking and defensive. So at the top, we have the strongest Shadow Lugia with Extra Sensory and Aeroblast Plus, and that's going to be 4699. And then close second is going to be Extra Sensory and Aeroblast Plus Plus will be 44.35, and that is going to be the purified version of the Lugia. You cannot get this moveset on this Pokemon if it is not purified. Then we have Shadow Lugia, Shadow Lugia, Shadow Lugia. Then we have the Dragon Tail and Aeroblast Plus Plus, which is going to be at 40.72. So obviously the Extra Sensory is doing quite well with this Pokemon. And then we do have Lugia as the regular form with the Extra Sensory and Aeroblast at 38.39. And if we go to the second page, we can get more of the regular Lugia, Extra Sensory and Sky Attack, which is not quite as good as that Aeroblast. Then we have Extra Sensory Future Sight on the regular at 32.44. And then we also have Return on this Pokemon if you so did purify this Pokemon, or if you wanted to put that moveset on it. And then we can go further down the list and we can see the Hydro Pump on the regular, which is going to be 29.38. So with Lugia, if it is not going to have Aeroblast Plus Plus and it's just going to have regular movesets, it might not be as strong, right? So that is obvious for us. But now we're going to check out what happens against this Pokemon against other things. Just remember that the regular Lugia with the Extra Sensory and the Aeroblast is going to be 38.39 because the list is going to populate obviously the stronger moveset, which will be the Aeroblast Plus and Plus Plus. So let's check this Pokemon out as a meta attacker with this moveset. So starting off the top, obviously we cannot use just all Flying type attackers with both dual type stab moves because Lugia does not get that, so we won't see the perfect picture here. Mega Rayquaza at the top at 50.57. Then we have the Shadow Moltres, 47.13. Then we have the Shadow Lugia with the Aeroblast Plus at 46.99, which is the 3rd strongest Flying type in the game. Then we actually have the Mega Blaziken that does have Brave Bird at 46.8. Shadow Ho-Oh coming in there with Brave Bird at 44.99, quite impressive there. And we have the Shadow Honchkrow, a little bit glassy for a Pokemon, not the biggest fan there, but it is very high up on this ER value at 44.44. Then we have the regular Lugia with Aeroblast Plus Plus at 44.35, but just remember 38.39 is the non un-Apex Shadow one. So we have the Shadow Dragonite coming in next at 43.79. Then we have Shadow Zapdos, Mega Pidgeot at 42.79. Then if we go on to the second page, in the 11th spot, we have the Galarian Zapdos with the Brave Bird at 41.66. Shadow Staraptor, regular Moltres, Galarian Articuno going down the list at 40.26. We're not quite there yet. Regular Rayquaza at 39.92. Then we have the Ho-Oh at 39.15. Shadow Blaziken at 38.72 with the Brave Bird. Shadow Unfezant at 38.41. And then in the 19th spot overall would be the Shadow Lugia with regular Aeroblast, which is an Elite TM move, at the 38.39, followed by the regular Dragonite and the Honchkrow. So if we look at this Pokemon as far as a meta attacker, obviously there are much better Pokemon out there. The Shadow Apex is the #1 overall. I mean, think about it as an Apex Predator, and it does line up with this here. So this Pokemon will be good. It's good to have the Exo Candy, but maybe not to max out just a regular Lugia as of yet, but that doesn't mean that it might not be good in the GBL, which would cause you to then be able to multi-purpose this Pokemon and also use it as a meta attacker. Think about it in that standpoint. But as of right now, for this Pokemon, I would say you do not need to raid for it to max multiple of them. I would say to have 360 XL Candy, consider maxing out your Apex Shadow, because it's right up there on par with Shadow Moltres pretty much, and that Pokemon is pretty cool looking, and it is an absolute beast there. So the only downside is it doesn't get dual stab flying type moves, but that's okay because we can use that Aeroblast Plus. Okay, so now let's switch gears and we'll go into the GBL to see where it does sit, and we are going to have to check it out in the Great League, the Ultra League, and the Master League, but obviously this Pokemon does peak out towards the Master League, so more than likely the Great League and potentially the Ultra League will not be super effective, but I don't know for sure, but now we're going to find out. It's going to be 305 for the Great League as far as the non-Shadow, and the Shadow form is going to be 402, so obviously this is not viable. And then as far as the Ultra League, 162 for the regular and 190 for the Shadow, which then leaves the final, the almighty league that could make this Pokemon or break this Pokemon as far as my recommendations go, and that will be the Master League. As far as the Master League, can you guys guess what it's going to be? It is going to be ranked 2 in the non-Shadow. So using this Pokemon with Aeroblast, Dragon Tail, and Sky Attack is going to be the recommended moveset combination. Obviously, this Pokemon did come up quite significantly for the Master League, and then with the Shadow, it's ranked 6. So what you could do is you could have 2 of these Pokemon, or what you could do is just have 1. But if you want to multi-purpose with the meta raid attackers into as an attacker standpoint and the Master League, the best case scenario would be to use this Pokemon as a Shadow, because you will be able to get both, which will require you 360 XL Candy to max out. But if you're not too concerned about the Shadow and you just want to multi-purpose it and use the least amount of XL Candy, obviously it's not the most premier meta attacker, but the Shadow is really good, so I would hate to see you guys not use that Shadow to its optimal potential. But the non-Shadow would only require 296 XL Candy, but for me personally, the Shadows are stronger, they do more damage, and it's so close from a rank 2 to a rank 6 in the Master League that it would be worth it. So that is my recommendation. I would not say to max tons of these, there's no need for it. Flying is not the most premier moveset to even use on any of these Pokemon, but when a fighting Pokemon does come up, the Shadow Apex Lugia will definitely be in the top 10. So that's my recommendation. Good luck out there. Let me know what you guys are going to do in the comment below. Appreciate you guys being here as always. To all my likers, comments, subscribers, Patreon members, everybody takes their support, subscription, and participation to the next level. I'm going to see you guys out in the next video. Peace.
I want to take this time to thank everybody who supports me in every facet. It means the world to me, and an extra special thank you to all my Patreons. I greatly appreciate the extra support to continue to allow me to pursue Pokemon Go full time, allowing me to create my daily video uploads in the most timely fashion for everyone's benefit. Plus, I get the amazing experience of sharing my creative processes behind the scenes and raiding all around the globe with select upper tiers. Thank you everybody for being a part of the Trainer Club. You all mean the absolute world to me, and I will see you guys out on the next video.